and he presses some buttons, and he turns to one of the guys, and he says, 15 minutes on high, and that's that. And I'm like, hold the fucking phone here. You just put a bowl of cake batter in the microwave, said put it on for 15 minutes on high, and your cake's done. It's still in the bowl. It's just a bowl of batter.
What's a bowl?
And you put it in the microwave for 15 minutes on high.
15 minutes on high. The rest is up to God.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast coming at you from the local 218 studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd. With me, as always, is my brother.
This place is a dump.
Absolute idiot. Hey, Gabriel Johnson, how are you?
I am well, Dave. How are you?
I am excellent. Are we ready to get started?
Let's do some movie chat.
That's right. This, of course, is the Be Kind Rewind 1995 movie edition. So we did the regular 1995 Be Kind Rewind last week. Check that out if you haven't yet. We went through all the games, TV, news, a lot of news from the year 1995. Of course, the wonderful Virtual Boy as well. Super fast, just wanted to say that we ended that episode with me talking about Sinbad's Dynamite New Year's Eve. Turns out that was 1996.
Oh,
So
ouch.
as I was pulling up some footage for it, Salt and Pepper says 1997. And I was like, no, fuck.
Oh,
You were 2 years off.
Well, no, it was
it's New Year's.
It came to 96. So I was thinking it started in 95 and then was New Year's 96. No, it was New Year's Eve 96. So if you saw that last week, Sinbad did not blow up a building for another year. So should we get started with movies?
Yes.
All right. What do we got over there, Gabe? Throw something at me.
My favorite movie from 1995 is Tommy Boy.
Okay, folks, the guy in front of you is Tommy. He'll be taking you through my little spiel here. Tommy is a Scorpio, he likes biking, and he's never been laid.
Okay, so Tommy Boy is the story of Tommy,
Yes.
adult man baby who refuses to grow up and has to take over his dad's company after his sudden death. The villain in the movie is Rob Lowe,
Yes.
uncredited.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What?
How is that possible?
Rob Lowe was under contract to do a TV miniseries, and he could not take on another role.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of going through the legal fight, he just took an uncredited, I'll do this because he was buddies with Chris Farley. He's like, I want to do this, so let's go.
I wonder how that works, like in terms of how much you can get paid, what you can't get paid, in terms of the union contracts and
Yeah, you
whatnot.
get paid whatever you want if nobody knows about it.
Well, but there's like union contracts too. There has to be some kind of rule with credited, uncredited. There has to be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I Googled it, and there is, but I couldn't figure out if he got paid or didn't get paid, or I don't know.
Okay.
But
The predominant role.
yep, the villain, and not credited. But behind the scenes, both Chris Farley and David Spade really liked Rob Lowe.
Okay.
And they'd go out and have drinks with him after filming and whatever. And one day, Chris Farley got really jealous of David Spade going out with Rob Lowe. So on set, he kept asking him over and over again, how's Rob Lowe? Hey, David, how's Rob Lowe? How's Rob Lowe doing? To the point where David Spade dumped a bottle of Diet Coke onto Chris Farley, who threw David Spade into a wall.
Oh, what? This should be the movie.
Yeah. And then David Spade left the set and refused to come back. So they had to take a short break.
What? Hold on now. So he pours the Diet Coke on Chris Farley.
Who was incessantly asking him how Rob Lowe was.
But then gets thrown through a wall. I don't think you get to pour things on someone and then get mad when they react.
Especially when they're 3 times your size.
Exactly, yeah. When you say threw him through a wall, he probably blew in his general direction. Tommy Boy is fantastic. And actually, I'm really glad we started off with it because in terms of drops from the podcast, I would say that I use Tommy Boy more than anything. More than anything. What would your favorite drop from Tommy Boy be?
I cannot keep Tommy Boy and Black Sheep straight in my
yes,
head.
you can.
Get out.
Yes, you can. Black Sheep is good. Don't get me wrong. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants. That's great. You can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong. Or please, the way he's holding onto the little roots, stay strong. Falls all the way down and then just says, "What the hell was that all about?" It's comedy gold.
Yeah.
But how can you get that confused with Tommy Boy, an instant class?
How can I get Chris Farley, David Spade, road tripping mixed up? I don't know.
I'm going to say, surprised you didn't know that.
Surprised you didn't know that.
Is my favorite bit. I use that all the time in my regular life.
That is the one I probably use more than anything. That or the went a little heavy on the pine tree perfume. That is also a classic saying.
Step 2 is washing it off.
So the it has a thin candy shell. Surprised you didn't know that.
Yes.
Is also the beginning of probably the coolest unnoticed or not talked about bit in that movie.
Okay.
And it spans the arc of the entire movie. At the very beginning of the movie, he gets picked up from the airport, spills a little bit of M&Ms
Yes,
in the
yes.
dashboard of the 67 GTX. And then progressively throughout the movie, the car just keeps getting destroyed more and more and more.
Yep.
Probably like 6 different scenes where something bad happens to the car. By
Yes.
the end, totaled. Not
Yes.
able to, immobile.
And I would actually say that when you do that, the car becomes a character,
Right.
Right. You want to talk about getting it confused? There are scenes in that movie that you could easily confuse for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that whole section in the car is the same thing. All the different bits with how they, various different things happen with it. It's starting on fire and whatnot. In this case, the door is getting ripped off, the hood popping up, which is a great story because Scott Badeaux,
Yeah, that happened to me.
the scene where the hood pops up while they're driving. Scott was driving a car back from Florida, I believe, and did you leave an oil can in there too, or how did that actually work?
No, it's just the latch on the front wasn't on there all that good.
That's not a thing. That's
It's a
Yeah,
court blow.
you know when you pull the thing to release the hood from
Yeah.
the latch?
yeah,
Well,
just wasn't on there very good.
it was snapped a little bit. I don't remember how it was actually connected. If it was
Sounds like it was.
If it was just, I don't remember. I don't remember if it wasn't at all, or if it was just like some makeshift piece that they had put on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming through, I don't remember because it happened twice on the ride back.
okay.
Because the first time,
Didn't learn.
well,
Didn't buy a strap.
well, so the first time,
Step 2, washing it off.
Great, you've pinpointed it.
first time it happened on the interstate in like Indiana or Illinois. I mean, we were doing 80, and the hood comes loose,
Yep.
and 80 miles an hour driving in the wind, the hood smashes in the windshield.
Into the windshield, yep.
There's no time to see that coming.
No.
You're just driving, and then all of a sudden there's a loud bang, and you can't see anything.
Yep.
So luckily I was in the left lane, the far left lane, so I could just like ease my, I'd look through the tiny little gap and ease my way off the side. Well, then we got towed from there to this rinky-dink little 40-person town.
Sure.
That no shit, as we're pulling in, as we're getting towed, there's just a car on fire on the side of the road. Nobody's around. There's nobody there. There's just a car actively burning. Not has been burnt, is on fire.
I can hear the music from this movie soundtrack.
So we go to this little auto shop, and the guys go in there, they drill a bunch of holes in it, and
yep, zip-tied it, didn't
zip
he?
ties and bungee cord. And I remember talking with a couple of the guys and looking at it like, I'm not gonna lie, this doesn't look legit. And the main
No, don't worry. Look, our evidence is right over here. It's the saber that's on fire.
right. So the boss man was like, nah, this will hold, no problem whatsoever. But the four guys that were with him were like
Shook their heads.
elbowing each other. Like, I don't think this guy knows what he's talking about. Turns out that guy didn't know what he was talking about. Because the next morning, we drove another couple 100 miles, and it snapped again. Whatever was holding it together didn't hold it together any longer. So it snapped again. But this time, since the hood was damaged,
Yes.
we had a sunroof in this. It was a little Sunfire. A little red sunfire.
That is a great
And so now the hood flips up again, but now the hood bends as it hits the top and smashes the sunroof. And so we just get rained on by shattered glass. My girlfriend at the time is freaking the out, crying. And I'm like, we're okay. It's fine. And somebody ended up towing us to their house and just took the whole hood off. And we just drove home later that day with no hood.
What in the hell was that all about?
Anyways, Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
But that's great though, because I've watched 2 movies specifically. I just mentioned them, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and Tommy Boy, where the car just slowly falls apart, and you lived that experience, which is just great. I people have things where the tire explodes or something happens. I've never heard of, the car being on fire as you pull into the gas station, the people in the back going, I ain't gonna work. And then having it in fact not working.
Well, yeah. I mean, the next day.
At least you were a bit of an expert at it by that time.
Right. Just
what
take
to
it
do
off.
here.
Take it off.
Yeah. So is that it on Tommy Boy?
That's all I got.
Phenomenal movie though, one of the very best, and just lean into what makes Chris Farley so special. So yeah. You got anything else, or Scott? You got one for us, or you just have the one?
I just have the one.
Scott just has the one. So last week, if you were with us, Scott said watch Under Siege 2. Stay tuned for Under Siege 2, because I did watch Under Siege 2 and I absolutely want to talk about it. So let's hold off on that one for just a minute. Can I jump in real quick and just do one? Okay. So I have a couple of them that I want to talk about. First, I'm going to just throw out super fast a couple movies, just so we just know they existed and that I like them, I guess. Seven, the movie Seven, really messed up, but pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Yeah.
Oh, what's in the box?
That's all you got to know from that one. Toy Story, of course, fantastic. I went to school to become a computer animator because of the movie Toy Story, essentially. Toy Story and Pixar in general. Great movie. Braveheart, just good. Just good.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Braveheart?
Never seen Braveheart.
Oh, Braveheart's fantastic.
It's a bit long. There's a lot of double VHS movies released in 1995.
They were getting a little weird with the length, which I'll continue.
Oh, they're
as
starting
well.
to again.
Yeah, they are.
Especially since the Snyder Cut.
Yeah,
now everybody's like, hold on. You'll watch a 4.5-hour movie?
So let's talk about that, because the 2 movies that I have are too long. That's the problem with them. But the movie I really want to talk about is the movie Heat. I don't know if you guys seen the movie Heat.
I have.
Michael Mann is a really cool director, does some really interesting stuff. Heat is a movie that people love, but the problem with it is it's too damn long. It does the thing. So I have a very specific philosophy on movies. They should be 2 hours. Hour and a half for comedies, 2 hours. I'll give you 15 minutes to wrap everything up if we need a little bit extra. These 2.5 hour, 3 hour movies can get, that's 2 movies. If it's 2.5 hours, or if it's 3 hours, that's 2.5 or 2 movies.
Holy
Jesus
moly,
Christ, that was tough.
That was very hard for you to do.
Math. It's hard. But
Maybe
anyway,
just stick to one movie.
Yeah, you see what happens when your movies get too long? Falls apart.
falls completely apart. But the movie Heat is really interesting. It's about a criminal and a detective that basically meet up in a diner. That was the whole concept behind it, was what if 2 people sat down and had a conversation, and that if you build the characters correctly, right, they should both have motivations and flaws, and you sit them down in a diner and they have a conversation. So the whole movie is based off of that premise, but it starts off with cool Michael Mann stuff, which is, the shootouts and getting ready for the crime and whatnot. But this movie has some of the best, like, actual robberies that have happened. So much so that the government has used this at, like, I believe West Point used this as, like, this is how, I believe it's what is his name? Iceman Kilmer. Val Kilmer. Has a section in this where he is moving up and shooting and using coverage and looking both ways and all this stuff. They've used that as an example of this is how you do that. But also criminals have used this as the guide to how to take out a armored car, which is just phenomenal. Like you spent so much time on the details that people are like, you know what? I got this.
Training video.
Yep, training video on both sides as well, which is interesting because it is a movie about both sides. The thing that I find really interesting about this movie, one, it's too long. It's at least a half hour too long, where you get to a point and you're like, oh, yeah, we're going to wrap this up. And you look at it and you're like,
But if the sequel was 30 minutes, you'd be pissed.
well, I would be pissed if the sequel was 30 minutes, but just stretch it out a little bit then. And give me something, maybe a mini series. Let's go with that. But the thing I thought that was really interesting about this is that the movie Heat is the second time that Michael Mann tried to do this story. So he had the idea for this in the 80s and shot a pilot for a TV show, and it just failed and didn't work. So it actually exists as a made-for-TV movie, and it is the exact same thing. And then came back in 1995 and was like, no, we're going to do this right with the actual budget to do what I want to do. And so the same director has that same movie made twice, which is an interesting thing to have happen. So
if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
two things about the movie Heat. One, Jeremy Piven is in it.
Ari Gold.
You aware of Jeremy Piven?
I am aware of Jeremy Piven.
Are you aware of Jeremy Piven's hairline specifically?
You've mentioned it, but refresh.
So Jeremy Piven's hairline magically started moving forward, and 1995 is the beginning of the regrowth, let's call it, of Jeremy Piven's hair.
PCU was peak baldness.
I would say probably peak baldness. 1995 is the mark that I'm going to make for Jeremy Piven's hairline. So moving forward, for every year, I'm going to, as Gabe should be doing with the Beanie Babies, and
$5
has not.
$5.
$5. They're worth $5 right now. I am going to have the Jeremy Piven hairline scale because within a decade, he has twice as much fucking hair.
Yep.
And it just slowly moves its way forward. So
I got to talk to this guy.
yeah, he gave up on bandanas a long time ago. Secondly to that, I would just say that if you do like Michael Mann, his movies are pretty sweet. The movie Thief would be my favorite of the bunch. That's back from late 70s. The beginning of that movie is just awesome. Watch the first little heist and then fast forward it to the last, I think it's like the last hour, and it's just awesome. There's a middle chunk in there that's a little 70s slow, but if you do those two chunks, you'll get all the information you need, and it's amazing. So, also, if you're into Al Pacino, the movie Heat has some really good Al Pacino overreacting, way overreacting. Yeah.
Here, she got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up it.
So the second movie that I have on my list is the movie Waterworld. Do you guys remember the movie Waterworld?
Man, I love not Gene Hackman as a villain.
So Gabe says that because the movie Speed, he thought was Gene Hackman, and it's really not. It's Dennis Hopper.
It's because of the movie Hoosiers that has both Gene Hackman and Dennis Hopper, and I switch them up.
I completely agree. That is an acceptable reality. The movie Waterworld is known for being a gigantic flop. But in reality, it made a ton of money. It just didn't make a ton of money because it costs so fucking much to make. And I think the thing that I found so fascinating about this movie was that it was the highest budget of any movie ever, and including the marketing for it, it came in and grossed worldwide with the entire box office. I shouldn't say gross, but it brought in $264 million, which is basically what they spent total on this entire movie. So it was supposed to cost $100 million to make. By the time they were done marketing and everything, they were like $260 million in on this thing. And the reason why is because they decided to film it in Hawaii out on the water.
Well, it's Waterworld.
They could have gone to Mille Lacs.
You could have. So what they did was they went like miles out into the ocean so that if you turned the camera in any direction, you wouldn't see any land. And I think it was like 80%. They had like 80% coverage where you couldn't see land where they turned the camera. But the problem with that is that then you got to get people out there. And so they build this giant set that is essentially the size of a football field. and it's out floating in the ocean, and they didn't build any bathrooms on it. So every time someone had to use the bathroom, they had to take them off of the giant football field set, drive them over to a boat to use the bathroom, and then bring them back. Then you throw in like a hurricane that actually sank the set, and they had to rebuild it.
Really?
Yeah. So this thing is huge. And the whole reason they had to be that big was they based the movie around the boat that Kevin Costner has, which is a pretty sweet boat. It's like one of those fast sailing boats with, like the fins and whatnot. But so then they're like, well, there's a scene where we have to be able to drive this into our set. So let's build the set big enough to drive this into the set. But not only does the thing sink into the ocean, they used up every piece of steel on Hawaii.
On Earth.
On Hawaii, and had to fly in more steel in order to shoot the film.
But
there wasn't a runway long enough to land a plane full of steel to actually have the steel float into Hawaii. So they had to build an extended runway just to fly the steel in, to then build the set, to then fit around the boat. I got an idea.
man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Maybe scale shit down a little bit. Maybe go like, you know what? Maybe the boat's a little too big. Maybe we need to come up with a better situation. But
also flying in steel.
Well, you have to.
Well, I would ship it.
Yeah, put on a barge.
Oh, and this may be incorrect. Okay. Again, everything I say may be incorrect. But from what I read, they had to extend the runway in order to fly it in. I would assume it was a time frame thing, right? You sunk the one, had to rebuild it, and they're like, we got to go. And then they're like, well, who's got some asphalt? Because we got to land this plane. All in all, I love the movie. I think it's actually a pretty fun movie to watch. I don't think it's perfect, but in terms of like the little things that it does right, it's a post-apocalyptic where the polar ice caps have melted and now there's nothing but water, which mathematically is not possible, but is a cool idea, right? Nobody's ever seen land. But everything in the movie then is little bits of like our world that is reused. Like he right away goes down and finds ski boots, which I thought was a really cool touch because where would you find things? It would be on a mountain, right? So he finds ski boots. So the whole entire movie, he's wearing a bunch of ski boots. People have clothing that's put together with the 6-pack holders from soda cans, which that was my favorite touch of the whole thing.
None of which were cut.
None of which were cut. Proven fact. Waterworld tells you everything you need to know. But really, it's a great movie. Jack Black is in it. He has just a small role, which is kind of fun. I would definitely recommend trying to spot which one is Jack Black, which is kind of fun. And then the one that I really enjoyed was that there was a point in the movie where there's a little girl, and she's probably 10, maybe less than that. Must be less than that. But as I'm watching, I was like, God, she looks really familiar. And then all of a sudden it clicked with me. I was like, that looks like the girl from Napoleon Dynamite. I was like, that's Deb. Deb from Napoleon Dynamite. And then I did the thing where I'm like, there's no way that, you just think it's the case. No, it really is. It really is. Tina is her name. It really is the chick
The llama?
Tina, you fat lard, come get some dinner.
From Napoleon Dynamite?
Tina is her real name, not in the movie.
My mistake.
Yeah. So anyways, great movie. I really enjoy it.
I'd get those confused.
Yeah. I actually highly recommend watching the movie Waterworld. I really enjoy it.
How long is it?
Too long. Again, too long. There is an ending to that movie. It ends. And then they're like, hey, sit tight. We got 40 or 30 minutes left on this.
So it's the Lord of the Rings.
Which one?
The third one.
The third one?
The final
no,
one.
that has 3
The final one,
endings.
yeah, where it just ends and then ends and then ends.
And then ends. Yeah, so I don't know. Check it out. Dennis Hopper, as Gabe said, really.
Gene Hackman.
Not Gene Hackman, all-time great movie villain.
What do you say, Toby? The truth.
Looks like shit.
That's why I love children, no guile. It does look like shit.
But I also, it brings up something from me. Both those movies are tied together on one thing that I really enjoy from my childhood, which is the stunt shows at Universal Studios. The stunt shows at Universal Studios were one of my favorite things that I remember from being a kid. And the first one I saw was the Miami Vice stunt show, which is Michael Mann. Michael Mann is the director and creator of Miami Vice. And then when Waterworld came out, they changed it to the Waterworld stunt show. And it still is to this day the Waterworld stunt show. So even though the movie was a huge flop, still a really cool stunt show to go watch.
Waterworld.
Okay.
And they found a way to do a Waterworld thing on land.
It turns out it can be done. All right, Scott, let's go with the one that you had that everyone's waiting for.
Well, Mr. Steven Seagal.
Mr. Steven
Because
Seagal.
first I had to watch Van Damme movies. Now I got to watch Steven Seagal movies.
Stephen Seagal.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Van Damme is a lot better than Steven Seagal. But this movie is not bad.
I would actually concur on that. I watched it last night. Not bad.
It might be as high as a solid B+.
I won't give it a B+.
Might be.
It starts.
I think it's between B+ and I wouldn't go as low as C+.
I think I called what's the mountain one? Cliffhanger. I called that a B+, and you said no. I would say these are very similar movies in terms of quality.
Okay.
Cliffhanger and this are
Sure.
very similar. Starts off very strong.
It does.
Yeah.
How is that when they're introducing this satellite weapon thing?
Yes.
What you have a take on this, clearly.
I have a very good take on this. So, first of all, for people that have not seen Under Siege 1, it is Die Hard on a boat. Under Siege 2 is After Speed, which is Die Hard on a bus. Under Siege 2 is Die Hard on a train. So this movie is basically GoldenEye, which came out the same year, the movie GoldenEye, which is a James Bond movie. There's a satellite up in space that can beam down and destroy the world.
Yes,
Okay?
it creates earthquakes.
This one creates earthquakes, okay? This movie starts off, literally the satellite is being launched, some computer animation, pretty decent, of the satellite opening up, and then the computers down in the command center are typing away, and they, of course, connect with the satellite, and the military guy says, let's see what this baby can do. And two nerds sitting at a table start zooming in on Earth. And it's a coastline, and then it's a beach, and then it's a lady sunbathing on the beach. And then one guy does conveniently say, hey, Jim, or whatever it is. Hey, Jim, clear it up, which could be taken both ways. And I think Jim took it the other way because Jim decides he's going to get this baby enhance.
Clear it up. Clear that picture up.
Clear that picture
Or
up.
clean it up. Sorry, not clear. Clean.
Yep. And he says,
Zoom and enhance.
she's turning over. And a pixelated set of titties show up on the
Yep.
screen. And how do we know that this satellite works? Those titties become crystal clear. And of course, the dad from that 70s show says, the damn thing works. So we get all the way from launching the satellite's launched, military's got to figure out if they have control. Now that we've seen boobs, God damn it, the damn thing works.
Yeah, that thing can see a pair of tits from 20 miles up from space.
And my favorite part is that they zoom in so far that it is just the boobs. There's nothing but boobs. So, 1995.
Yeah.
But give me your take on it with the Stephen Seagal.
I'll tell you that the guy that plays the villain in that movie, I don't know how you say his name, Eric Bogosian.
Which one, the curly-haired one or the white-haired one?
The curly-haired guy.
Looks kind of like Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, kind of. He does a great job.
He did a great job.
He's very menacing.
Yes. Yeah, it is GoldenEye. It's the same fucking plot as the movie GoldenEye, which came out the same year.
Yeah,
but still interesting.
So is he Boris from GoldenEye if he was in charge?
He's pretty much Boris from GoldenEye if he was in charge.
Okay.
And there is a train in GoldenEye that also derails.
Does that make Steven Seagal Pierce Brosnan?
I don't know, because man, Steven Seagal's role in these movies, he tries to be so laid back. Like,
I think part of that is the director saying that we don't want him to act. So you just pretend like you don't give a shit. We're not going to give you any lines. You just look cool.
Yeah. When we need you to kick somebody in the face, we'll let you know.
But when you kick somebody in the face, what happens, Scott? Because he kicks him in the ass. And there's,
which part?
There's the part where he kicks him in the ass, and he clearly kicks him like twice, but yet there's like 14 punch sound effects.
There's one part where most of the movie is relatively believable.
Yes.
That's, it's not super far-fetched that this guy could be going from train car to train car, sneaking around people. There's not too much where you're like, well, that didn't happen. That couldn't possibly happen. But there's one part where he is confronted by a guy who tackles him. And Steven Seagal is a semi-legit martial artist. He does
a
like
lot of this.
He does Aikido, which is for like if you're unarmed and somebody else has a sword, I think. But
which they do that. There's a guy with a cleaver, and he just keeps waving his arms at him.
Right.
So the guy doesn't know how to hit him. Doesn't know how to hit him because he might hit his forearm.
But this other guy, he tackles
with the fucking cleaver.
The Steven Seagal gets tackled. I mean, just shoots a double leg, takes him down, and Steven Seagal is on his back, and he starts throwing elbows onto the guy's like collarbone area. Relatively believable strike, but then he starts. He wraps his legs around him and starts kicking him in the back with his heels. It's like, well, that doesn't do anything. But they add like 20 extra punch sounds. So he's just on his back, and you just hear.
Exactly what it sounds like.
As he just looks like a toddler on its back that can't roll over.
So
I rewound that part about 30 times and laughed.
So did I.
The kicking was funny enough, but it was the sound effects of all the punch sounds that they added was fabulous.
So if you like movies, I would say this movie starts off a solid, probably B+ at the beginning.
Yeah.
By the last 15 minutes,
it holds pretty strong
until the last 15 minutes.
It falls off the rails pretty hard.
It felt to me like they were trying to hit the hour and a half mark because it's like hour 36, I think, hour 36 minutes, I think. The very conclusion of the movie is only 3 minutes long. It is 3 minutes, and it is the most fucking chaotic 3 minutes I've ever seen on film. So, like you said, throughout the movie, the idea of this thing happening on a train is kind of cool because you think about a train, it's a long tube, but they're all separate sections, and then they're on a train that has 2 levels. So there's plenty of ways for him to kind of climb around the train, get under the train, But
he also spends a lot of time in vents. I don't know
giant
where
vent.
these vents are that he can go into in one car and then come out in the bathroom in another car.
That's the one I was going to get at.
Who has the secret entrance to the bathroom?
Well, so in the movie Die Hard, he has that one vent he comes out of multiple times where there's conveniently boobs on the thing. But in this, it's the same thing. He keeps coming out the same bathroom. I thought the same thing. Who the fuck puts? It's a 4-foot door that just leads to an extra good.
Everything leads everywhere.
What is this? The fucking board game Clue? But yeah, it holds up pretty well, and then it just starts getting worse and worse. The green screen in this movie is awful, and to the point where by the time you get to and it really is 3 minutes from happening. He's in this fight with this guy. Now in spoiler alert, you may want to fast forward if you haven't seen Under Siege 2 since 1995. 2 trains crash into each other.
Yeah. That was super weird.
And as the trains are crashing into each other, the one girl is getting off on a helicopter ladder. She's being pulled through a helicopter ladder. The 2 trains crash. Steven Seagal goes flying, but then magically is not flying anymore.
And he's just standing back up.
He's standing back up.
I don't think it ever shows him hit anything and collect himself. There's just one scene where they crash.
Yep.
He goes flying. And then the next scene, he's just standing up watching the train continue to crash.
And then starts running away from the train crash inside the train. So the whole movie is about how these are in little tiny compartments. Get to the end, fuck that. Steven Seagal is running just as fucking fantastic as you could ever hope.
Best thing ever.
As 2 trains are crashing behind him, and he is running away from it through the train.
In the train that's crashed.
As it's exploding, only to jump onto a helicopter and fly away. Then the best explosion I think I've ever seen. But there's a tiny little clip where The bad guy has already been thrown from the train, and they just like cut him out like you would in Microsoft Paint.
Oh yeah. so but they like can't. It's like they ran out of money.
Yes,
they can't.
Exactly what happened with
they
this movie.
can't animate him.
There's no way he did.
So you can like only see like his head and his shoulders, and the rest of his body is just a crappy CG flames.
While there's a train crashing behind him
as he's falling into the flaming explosion. 80% of his body from the neck down is on fire just because they couldn't animate the body.
Fucking thing sucks.
And all of this is 3 minutes. There are 5 billion cuts in 3 minutes. I'm watching it and I'm like, you couldn't ask like a high school student to create this and have them come back with something worse than what they put on film. It is just boom, 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 boom. Now he's flying. Now he's running. Now he's diving. Now this is happening. Now there's just a fucking picture of a dude. Literally, it is the whoopsie down in the corner of the screen with the bad guy. It's phenomenal and well worth. And then
what happened to the satellite?
They blew it up. They were able to blow it up.
How? I don't remember that.
Somehow. I actually don't remember either, but they were able to blow it up somehow.
Oh, they had like fighter jets going after. Oh, that's another thing.
It's in the space. It's in space.
Yeah. But there's another part. They like scrambled the stealth jets because this is back when the stealth jets were super cool.
Bomber,
yeah. And
dropped bombs in space.
So they're planning to blow up the train. If they can't get to the satellite in time, they're just gonna have to blow up the train and kill everybody because otherwise the satellite's gonna kill millions of people.
Yes.
But the plane is coming at the train.
Yep.
And the guy with his satellite is able to find it and blow it up using the satellite because for some reason you can blow up planes in midair as well.
If you can spot a nipple from space, you can spot a jet.
Not a stealth jet.
It probably had a picture of titties on it.
Well, he explains why he can find the stealth jet in the movie.
Oh, does he?
It's like a heat signature or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
But so he blows up this plane just as it's about to bomb the train, and when it blows up, it is 30 feet. Above the plane. They do a shot of the plane exploding and it crashes onto the train almost.
So good. It's so good.
I mean, legit 30 feet above. This stealth fighter.
I don't think that's what stealth fighters were designed to do.
Stealth bomber.
Yeah. Right.
Not even a stealth fighter, stealth bomber.
And it's funny because you see it because it's in the cockpit and you can see what the pilot can see. And on his screen, you're like, that seems really close. And then it blows up and you're like, holy shit. You were on top of that fucking thing.
So we could probably move on from this movie, but I will just say that it is amazing, and it does feel absolutely like they started off. They had a pretty good budget. It feels like a legit movie.
Yeah,
it feels like
for quite a while
until it doesn't, and then So I fell asleep for a little bit, and then woke up right as chaos happened, and after the movie was done, because it's done like that. It goes from movie over, they're now standing in a graveyard. That's 30 seconds. Like even the end is 30 seconds.
Well, the whole reason they were on the train in the first place was to go see his brother's grave.
Yes, but
whoever.
But that's 30 seconds. I got done and was like, what the f did I smoke? And how did I? You remember when you said you watched Big Trouble in Little China?
Oh,
and fell asleep and then woke up and were like, what is happening? That's what happened to me in this movie.
Yeah, what happened to this movie? How did we get here?
Some of the best explosion animations you're ever going to see in your life. Some of the best. Really, they just ran out of money. Very clearly, they ran out of money. One of my favorite parts of that is he starts doing very Steven Seagal thing, which he does in the first one as well. He's going to make a bomb. He's going to MacGyver a bomb. And first of all, in both movies, don't show people that shit. Don't show people how to make actual fucking bombs.
This best example of Steven Seagal's acting at this moment.
Oh, absolutely.
When he pops up and he says, almost to the camera.
Yep.
He's looking at his little sidekick guy who's been with him most of the movie, and he says, "What am I doing? Oh, that's right. I'm making a bomb." Like exactly like that. That's exactly how he sounds.
I have that written down word for word.
What am I doing? Oh, I'm making a bomb.
Yeah, we got it.
Don't show us. Tell us.
But where is he making this bomb? at the back of the train.
Is he in the bar?
He's in the bar.
So he's grabbing all the cleaning chemicals and stuff.
This is the bar inside a train, and he is grabbing coconut oil, pine sol, lighter fluid, all the traditional cocktail ingredients that you got hanging out. I mean, because it's not like he's like, oh, I opened up the cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
It's what bar has coconut oil? It has fucking Crisco hanging out.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
what am I making?
The guy,
bomb.
so it shows him at one point with the lighter fluid, which is like the one thing where you'd be like, I bet you're going to blow that up.
Yeah, well, what are you doing with that?
He goes, what's that for? And he goes, oh, this is like a detonator.
It's like a detonator.
Yeah, I think I could have figured that one out.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing that I know will explode.
Maybe the part where you were scooping Crisco with an ice cream scoop.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the part where we go, what's going on? Not the part.
Hey, what you doing there, buddy?
Not the part where he's got flammables after telling you he's making a bomb.
Yeah. Oh, what's that for? Yeah. You know he's making a bomb. You see him grab the lighter fluid, and you're like, well, hold on, what could that possibly be for?
Fucking unbelievable.
Now you've lost me.
Great movie. The information's on a CD, which is I love.
Well, and
that time frame is great. When CDs could do anything, it's
right?
Fucking amazing.
But that's my least favorite part of the whole movie. Is at one point he gets a hold of the CD,
yes,
and now he's on the outside of the train, moving from car to car. He's been killing people left and right, and these guys are hunting him down. And as he's crawling from one car to the other, it comes over the radio to one of the guys that he might have this CD.
Yeah.
Don't shoot him. We can't risk damaging this CD. And just as he says that, Steven Seagal moves from one car to the other, and the guy's just got a beat on him right there. And it's like, oh, that's just plot armor. Like, no, you're dead. Movie's over.
Yeah.
Well, because everything that you did, how cool and badass you were, you just got caught. Mm-hmm. You're only alive because they just said you can't kill that guy. You didn't know that they weren't going to shoot you. No. You didn't even see him.
Yeah, you're no longer a hero.
No, you're dead. Yeah. You got.
Also, 1995, conveniently for them, people didn't know that if you just touch the CD, it's fine.
You're right.
So,
don't smudge it.
Don't get your fingers on the CD.
Don't put your finger in the hole.
Okay, I think we can move on from.
Speaking of not putting your finger in the hole.
Hey,
the girl in that movie is Katherine Heigl,
yes,
of Grey's Anatomy and Knocked Up fame.
Yep.
She was 16 at the time of filming this movie. And she was interviewed on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and she was talking about filming this movie with Steven Seagal. And she says that at one point, Steven Seagal came up to her. She is 16 years old, and he says, you know, Katie, I have girlfriends your age. And she says, isn't that illegal? And he replies, they don't seem to mind.
Mom?
What am I doing here? It's called rape.
Is so good. I mean, not the rape part is not so good. The rape part is not good. The rape part is not good.
So I got done watching Under Siege 2 last week, and I figured I should do some research.
Sure.
And then I stopped doing research. Movie ended, and I was like, I should know a lot about this movie so that I can actually have good bits to talk about. And the first thing I read was, you know, Katie, I have girlfriends your age. Oh, you're 16? Oh, okay. Well,
gonna have a bad time.
I'm just gonna leave that one alone. I'll just bring that up, and we won't dig any further into how big of a creep Steven Seagal is.
Somebody should just compile they're basically establishing shots. So anytime there's going to be some action with Steven Seagal, they take just one quick shot of him, because you can't have a shot where he goes from doing one thing to the next, because he does these freaking weird walks and all that. So
he's wearing a girdle.
Oh, is he?
That's because he's starting to get old and he's starting to get fat, and this is when he's starting to not be quite such an action star.
Gotcha.
That's why he just walks from train to train.
So that explains everything, because there's so many scenes in that movie where he's standing straight up with his arms out to the side. Clearly, now that I know what's going on, clearly that is exactly what's happening.
Well, and we forgot to mention that his character is a chef.
Yes.
So he's an ex-Navy SEAL chef.
Yes.
And so he's wearing a big chef coat the whole time.
Yes.
The whole time he's killing everyone. And that's another one of my favorite parts in this movie is he gets onto the train. Mind you, he's just a passenger on this train.
Yes, of course he is.
And all of a sudden he's in the kitchen training the kitchen staff
how to cook. Yeah.
How to cook and how to make this cake.
Yes.
And he's just got a bowl of batter that he's whipping together.
A cake of all things.
Yeah. And so he whips up this batter and then he takes the bowl and he puts it into the microwave. And he presses some buttons and he turns to one of the guys and he says, 15 minutes on high. And that's that. And I'm like, hold the fucking phone here. You just put a bowl of cake batter in the microwave, said put it on for 15 minutes on high, and your cake's done. It's still in the bowl. It's just a bowl of batter. And you put it in the microwave for 15 minutes on high. Have you ever microwaved anything for 15 minutes on high? Have you ever put your microwave on high in the first place?
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. All right, we should probably just be done after that. It's worth watching because it is. I mean, right from the freaking word go, when those boobs came on the screen, and then the dad from that '70s show just goes, "My God, it works!" And it was like, and then they all stare at the screen for like a good 30 seconds. And then one of the ladies, because the bad guy has been dead, or he faked his death.
Yeah.
And they're trying to establish that. So the lady's staring at the boobs on the screen, and she says, he would have loved this. Like, what is happening, man? And then it just keeps going from there.
Solid B+.
Solid B+. Solid B+. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to go ahead and get out of here. Plenty of other movies came out. The movie Friday as well. That's a good one.
Billy Madison.
Plenty of other movies came out. We are going to start doing more of these where we loop back around and go through some more of this stuff because there's so much good stuff to happen. But if you've seen the movie GoldenEye, you've also seen Under Siege 2.
Sure.
So, all right. Any last thoughts, Scotty, on 1995?
I think that'll do it.
Gabriel Johnson?
It was a good year for cinema.
Very good year for cinema. And with that, we're done. I don't know. I don't think there's anything better than when the trains hit, because he's trying to climb out the ladder.
Yeah.
And then he goes flying. And then all of a sudden...
I was so confused when that happened because I saw him go flying, and then the next shot, he's just standing up. And I was like, was that somebody else?
And then it goes,
flew?
It goes from that to him standing up to the dude outside the train doing this pose to him running away. Like, there are so many cuts in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's like Taken.
Because I did the exact same thing. I actually rewound it because I was like, what the fuck just happened? What? Who? And then he just starts running and perfect Steven Seagal run. Just chef's kiss.
You never know when somebody's luggage is going to fly out and you got to swat it away.
Sir, I found them. It'll just be a moment.
So what have you been doing?
Oh, you know, taking care of airplane crashes, funerals, stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
There you are, Mr. Ryback. That'll be track 3.